I'm your host, Wild Will. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about change. I'm sure the first thing you notice is that this set has changed a lot, and it just has me in the mood to discuss the nature of change and the fact that we as people only grow when we change. And it's just such an important thing that we continue to strive on throughout our daily lives, and it's definitely a commitment that I have found myself attached to, right? Positive change, contributing to your goals, your passions, your community, whatever it is you really want to change, you have that ability to. And the hope is that there are those around you who support that change and see that within you. It's just such an important thing that we all need to strive for. And many of us just don't. Many of us love to sit and do nothing with ourselves, like, right? Just the net zero gain of sitting on your phone and scrolling and just not improving yourself in any what form, right? Like whatsoever. Like there's no progress being made. There's no learning being done. Like you're not changing at all. I mean, physically you're becoming weaker, and I'm sure, maybe it's actually a negative. Maybe just by not striving for these positive changes and doing what you think is neutral is actually hurting you, and it is hurting you in the long run. Um, you know, being scared of change and fearing it and choosing to do nothing about it is only going to be worse for you. It's only going to continue to get worse. There's no way to survive in that state, that sedimentary, like, you're just stuck, not sedimentary, sedentary state. It's just, what are you doing when you are ignoring everything around you, right? Like, I feel like most of us don't even realize that's what we're doing is the problem, is like, you're actually refusing life to some degree. You're just not living. Like, you're tuned into a program that is changing how you are, right? And like, you need to listen to the words specifically, right? Like, why do we use like tuning in and programming, right? Like when we're watching TV and shows and episodes, like they're wiring your brain a certain way. Like it's changing you, but it's not you who's making that decision. So like the changes that are happening within you are outside of your control and you don't even realize it, and that's either making yourself in a neutral state or a negative state. Like there's no positive change being done, and that is a real problem, right? The only constant thing in life is change, and so many of us are in denial of that, and we fight so hard just to, you know, fight nature and overcome it. And it just might not be as healthy as many people are pretending it is. So what does this positive change look like? Um, One of my favorite things I like to think about as far as change goes is the spiritual alchemy, like rendition or uh, like tree, like skill tree almost, which is like a weird thing to say, but it's like this, it's a philosophy, essentially, right? It is a philosophy where you are taking, right, bad situations, negative situations, which they allude and use symbols of like metals and planets, but like the simplified version is like you have to imagine that these negative things that are holding you down have this weight to them, and that weight is equivalent to lead. Lead is very heavy, and that that feeling of it, it just like it makes you lethargic and could make you paranoid and overall just like sickly, like there's just a huge weight on your shoulders all the time. um, and turning it into gold, right? So extracting the purified, positive, even if it's just a little bit, because that's the thing. Like there might only be a drop of it in there, and like the conversion of like burning off all of this like negative energy from you and your soul is like transformed into this light material, this thing that should allow you to progress, you know, more in like a flow state, more in tune with yourself, just lighter overall, literally, like literally physically lighter, like the weight being lifted off of your shoulders. Um, right, and that is like, symbolically speaking, right, lead to gold is the, uh, right, people have always thought it physically throughout the ages, and like the great alchemists, quote unquote, like could never really transmute physical lead into physical gold. It was always about, you know, the spiritual aspect, right? The internal aspect of you're transmuting yourself, right? Like alchemy is like chemistry, and chemistry is the science of change, right? Is you are viewing reactions, and in chemistry it's like physical reactions, where in alchemy it's always been these internal like spiritual reactions, the alignment that you have flowing through yourself, flowing through the world around you, um, the ability to adapt to those situations, right? Like you, I mean, you're never going to always be in this golden state, but you can always work on, you know, extracting those from every experience. And eventually it will make you rich, right? Like that is what everybody was looking for. That's what these kings were looking for, was to become rich, right? So they would like hire these alchemists to like get them all this gold, and it was just this misunderstanding of like, you know, the reality is that you already have everything that you need, and it's like you know, the kings were too blind and maybe just too greedy, where it's like if you were to look within yourself, you would find that you already have way, way more than you could ever ask for. Um, and you don't have to be a king for that to be the case, right? Like in The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, it's a shepherd boy who like journeys, and most of his journeying is done within, and like it was far more important that he travel and find himself than it was that he found any treasure. Like that was just something that occurred only because he found himself first, and then the riches came later. If it happens the other way around, you're never going to actually find yourself. You're never going to change. You're never going to be who you want to be. You know, like it takes a long time and a lot of setbacks and a lot of change. You know, like it's literally every second, and it's important to remind ourselves that like we can get there. We can be, you know, the alchemist. We can be this greater thing. Like we can all do it. I just don't understand why, like including myself, like it's so easy to just become comfortable in not taking action, become comfortable with only sitting in one's thoughts, and right, like just visualizing and pretending you're doing it and getting addicted to that feeling. And I don't know, I feel like most people just don't have somebody to even like really like shake them and wake them up to like kind of remind them that it's like you gotta get your head, you know, out of yourself, which is not the correct saying, but I'm sure you know it. Uh, right? Like, just stop and take a breath and, you know, step back from the situation. Try to, like, see things through somebody else's perspective, uh, even if there's nobody there to talk to, right? Like, I think it's such a hard practice for we as people to remove ourselves from like our first person point of view and like critically like analyze ourselves as though we were somebody from the outside like assessing us. um, Almost impossible even. So, you know, good luck if you're somebody who can. Right, you're gonna be like a Tibetan monk or something, like some like practiced veteran, but for the average person, I don't think it's really that feasible. So where does that leave us? I think we just need to take accountability for allowing ourselves to be in negative or neutral situations when we don't want to be there. I think it's important to, I don't know, make yourself feel important, right? I think that is actually going to be the thing that helps you the most. It is, you know, even like, let's say, popular people who have a lot of friends, like the key for that, right? The way to win friends is by making other people feel important. But, you know, those same popular people don't always end up being happy. And, right, you see that with like comedians, right? Robin Williams, considered highly popular and successful, um, who took his own life. And, you know, perhaps there are a lot of people who forget to make themselves feel as important as they make other people feel as important. And that positive change is just going to give you like such drastic, like exponential effects that I think it would be impossible for not only you to notice, but everyone else around you is going to see that change too. Even if you're already liked, like there's going to be like levels to this thing where it's like you're going to just spiral so far beyond what you ever conceived in the first place that there's going to be no end in sight. You know, so I for one am excited about change, and I think you should be too. And, you know, like seriously get excited. Like it's so important that like, right, this is like the first step into greatness. The first step of the rest of your life is like making yourself that person, you know? And you're almost there, especially if you're watching this video, you're almost there. Just start taking some action, and I think you'll make it. And I think so will I. And we're going to get there together. I'm Wild Will. This has been A New Lens. I'll see you next week.